This is probably the most overused quote in digital marketing, but someone out there needs to hear it. On average, about 5 times as many people read the headline as read the body copy. When you've written your headline, then you've spent about 80 cents of your dollar. That is a classic marketing quote from David Ogilvy, and it's absolutely true. A well-crafted headline has one job: to get your readers' attention and hook them. But that doesn't mean it needs to be clickbaity or dramatic or sound like a BuzzFeed article. Instead, you need to speak directly to your audience's needs, and I'm going to show you how to do that in this video. In this video, you are going to learn how to create high-converting headlines that you can use on your sales page, opt-in page, homepage, and more. I'm going to hook you up with some tools that you can use for writing your headline, and I'm going to take you through a 5-point checklist audit that you cannot pass, go, or collect $200 unless your headline does these 5 things. After watching this, hopefully you'll never be stuck on writing headlines again. Click the like button if you have been stuck. They're the hardest. They're usually the thing I write last as a copywriter. And hey, if we've not yet met, my name is Ashlyn Carter. I'm a conversion copywriter and brand and launch strategist for creative entrepreneurs. Not knowing what to say should not be the thing that holds you back from making sales, and that's why I love what I get to do. While you're down there, hit subscribe and the bell next to it. That supports my channel, lets me continue to pump out more content like this. And with that said, let's get to it. Okay, we're gonna start with what is a headline and when to use one. So this is probably kind of obvious, but this is what your headline is. It's at the very top of the page. It's the big copy. It usually expands over the hero section of the website or the landing page. It is the ad for the ad, so to speak. So whatever you're trying to sell on that page, the headline, remember that quote up at the top of this video, your headline's the ad for that. Now, your headline is not to be confused with something called crossheads. They're kind of like baby headlines that are throughout the page, kind of like section headers. And these are not to be confused with something called subheadline, which is little copy that goes below the headline. It usually gives some clarifying information. I've told students inside Copywriting for Creatives this, and I've mentioned it on some audit calls, but my way of thinking right now is that I need to be able to step away from your screen, and if I can read just the headlines and the crossheads and understand the lawyer up argument, I did a video on that recently, the argument that you're trying to make to convince me on working with you, we're doing great. That's the goal. You'll probably use a headline for the top copy on your homepage of your website and then the individual landing pages in your website, the first piece of copy there. So that's for an opt-in or services page or sales page. If you're writing ad copy to run on Facebook or Instagram or some tool like that, then this part is the headline. And I will say, as I'm talking through this video, I'm not technically talking about blog and content headlines. Those are actually crafted differently, but there's parts that overlap. And some of these tips that I'm giving you are gonna help with that. The history of a headline, this is a sales letter, so this is where the concept of conversion copywriting got started. And do you see how that's the headline? It's like the first piece of the sales letter. As things moved from print to digital and sales letters came online as sales pages and as websites, that's where the idea of the headline came from, the opening part of the sales letter. As we're getting into the content in today's video, I want to let you know a little something I can let the cat out of the bag about. We have a new challenge coming up. It's called Homepage Homecoming. Think back to school, but for your web copy. If you want to learn more about that, look down below so you can hop on the wait list and be first to know when we get it going. Okay, next up, let's talk through what your headlines should include, and probably the easiest way to kick this one off is to say what your headline should not include. I would say I should duck for tomatoes on this one, but I like my opinions and they're very hashed out through the testing lab. We have had thousands of students and customers, and the agency that I own has written a lot of copy. So this is what I'm seeing, and here is what I think. Number 1, the headline that says exactly what that page is. About pages are usually culprits. They'll say about me up at the top of the page. I know it's about you, that's why I came here. In a do this, not that version, look at this about page copy. This is from Otherland. They're great candles, and I loved this about page because it completely starts talking to the user, talking to someone like me. Number 2, I don't like headlines that the headline for the page is the name of the brand or the product. You're gonna have to sell me pretty hard on why that, of all the things you could use, that's the thing you went with. Remember, like I've talked about in recent videos, people are only reading about 20% of all the copy that's on that page. So if we have a chance, like if you have breath to spend on marketing, then use it for something better than that. The last kind of headline I hate is, hi, I'm blank and I blank, and you tell what you do. Yes, these are clear, but the reason I don't like these 3 types of headlines is because we can do better. You're flat out missing the opportunity to make a great, ginormous brand promise to your reader. You're missing the chance to pull them in with story and emotion. I'm about to tell you what your headline should include, but remember, your headline has one job and one job only, just like the meme out there. Your headline needs to get the reader to read the next line of copy. And that next line of copy needs to push the reader to read the next line, and so on and so forth all the way down the page. There are some tried and true headline frameworks I love, so if you want to look down below, you can grab for free. I have 13 different headline templates that you can take as a starter pack. This is a pull from the 35 headline templates that I have inside the Copy Bar, which is my copywriting template shop. And overall, these will fall into 5 buckets. First up is the dreamboat appealing headlines. These are the headlines that speak directly to that person that you want to work with. Number 2, pain point headlines. We're going straight for the jugular. You're going to talk about what your client or customer wants to avoid. Number 3, solution-oriented headlines. These are the headlines that paint that desire, that end of the rainbow solution that they want. Number 4, I'm going to call them emo headlines, emotional headlines. Here's some examples of what I'm talking about here, but you're really trying to pull at what's going on in between here and here when you're using these headlines, a little bit more than the other types I've mentioned. And last up, number 5, data-oriented headlines. These are headlines that include a numeral or a fact. If your audience really likes the rational side of things, these are great ones. Your headline needs to include 1 part these frameworks. Let's take tried and true systems, and then 1 part power words. More on that in just a sec. If you're wondering, where does SEO go in all of this? I'm going to talk about that later in the video. Have a lot of thoughts on headlines and SEO. My basic thought is this: we don't have much time, we don't have much space. Let's speak directly to that person and hook them and pull them in. We'll worry about things like robots and algorithms later. Okay, back to power words. I have done a list before and I'll put it down below. I have a free download of 83 different types of power words you could use. When I say power words, we're thinking, how can we catch eyes with some more tantalizing copy? Discover, at last, proven, dizzying, supersonic, turbo, magic, unlock, life-changing, ironclad, sanity-saving. I love to talk about power words. You should definitely be pulling them and copy banking them. I've done an Instagram post on them that I'll link, but like I said, just go ahead and grab that list of 83 power words, print it out, tape it by your computer, and start to use these words until you get the hang of pulling them into your copy. Okay, now you know what a headline is, you know what they should not look like, and you've got some ideas on the 2 things that need to go into every headline. Let's talk about 5 checkpoints that your headline has to answer, starting with number 1, is it clear? Clarity will always trump cleverness when it comes to copywriting. This is not the time to bring in wordplay or puns or try to be overly witty or anything like that. You've got to be clear first and foremost. You also want to keep these on a 4th to 6th grade reading level. I've told students inside Copywriting for Creatives this, I'll tell you too. If we were to pull up your website and show it to your local 6th grader, would they understand what you do? I'll tell an embarrassing story on myself. When I first quit my corporate marketing job and started my business, I did copywriting and calligraphy, so trying to find a headline that spoke to both audiences was hard. I ended up saying something about let me help you tell your story, something like that, and I did some user testing, and some stranger on the internet looked at that headline and said, wow, it sounds like you could help me write my autobiography. That is not at all what I do. So that's what I mean. Is your headline, am I able to look at it and understand from a 6th grade reading comprehension level what you do? Number 2, does it get to the point and cut to the chase? That headline alone needs to be able to stand on its own. I talked about a little bit earlier, I need to be able to walk away, take some steps back and read just the headline and understand the gist of what you're saying. Now you do have buttresses like eyebrow copy and sub-headline copy and call to action copy that's around your headline. These are incredible tools that can come alongside and support. They're the supporting actors and actresses, but that headline has to be able to stand on its own and be clear. Number 3, does it message match? I'm big on this. Okay, you know when you're sitting on the couch watching whatever, you're scrolling through your phone and you click either an ad or an email, and after the jump you think, wait, this isn't what I thought I was clicking on. I must have taken a wrong turn. I don't think this is where I'm supposed to be. That's a lack of message matching. So whatever reason you're pushing me to the landing page that this headline that we're talking about in this video is for, I want to be affirmed that I'm in the right place the minute that I land there. You can do this with a combo of imagery, videography, and the copy, of course. Next up, does it answer the so what? In the hero section of the page, are you including somewhere there, again, whether it's the headline copy, a supporting actress piece of copy, or the imagery, the videography that you're using alongside it, are you helping communicate what the reader is looking for, why it matters to them? A good exercise for this is write out a list, just jot on paper, nobody has to see it, of 100 benefits that your product or your service has. Then you want to make sure your headline addresses those in some capacity or helps me think I can work towards that. Point number 5 is, like I said earlier, does it entice me enough to read the next line? I have some incredible examples of headlines that students inside Copywriting for Creatives have written, so I'm going to flip the camera around so I can show you these because I think that last tip will be best expressed if I can have show and tell style. All right, I've got two examples for you. This first one is from Diana's website. She's a photographer, and I want to address this for a couple of reasons. First of all, there's so much like fluff out there in the wedding industry. She took her time, worked through some of these tips I've showed you in the video, and came up with such a good headline. You talk to her for a few seconds, you understand her brand voice. This sounds just like something she would like, it would come out of her mouth. Make your website sound like you actually sound. So it sounds like her, but I like that she thought outside the box a little bit. Your whole vibe, your wedding photos should be too. It's time to break the mold. Awesome. Okay, let's move over to this example. This is from Alina, and this is the headline for a presets page. So it's sales or an offer page, whereas that was a homepage headline. Bright and clean presets made for professionals, easy enough to use for regular people too. So same kind of thing. It's not, we have the name of the product and the title, but there's a promise in there too that it's easy enough for people like me to use, but professionals can use it as well. So quite the promise. Those are just two examples I wanted to show you from people that have moved through the CFC curriculum. All right, lastly, let's give you the bird's eye view of the steps to go through to write a headline. This always comes back to the pop bottles framework that I referenced. We're looking at that Venn diagram of the things that you want to say and your mission and your why and your unique value prop. Where is that overlap with the language that your client or your customer needs to hear to know, okay, I'm in the right place, this business could help me. So once you have that brand messaging style guide figured out and you've done all your research, now what we're gonna do is take some of the frameworks. Again, I'm gonna give you that starter pack of 13 headline templates that you can use. And my best advice here is just set the timer and go. If you take nothing away from this video, take this. Headlines are hard. They're usually the last thing that I write. They are the thing that I'll spend the most time on because it comes back to what I said earlier. Everybody's gonna read the top part of your page, but so much substantially less is gonna read the rest. So when you grab that freebie, just set a timer and start trying to fill in the template style. Let me flash this example. This is from Sarah, who's actually the head of our copywriting agency. This is an example of just how she brainstorms. She even uses different colored markers, which is kind of fun, but just get a bunch of different ideas out there. I have a friend named Justin. He's also a copywriter, and one day, a few years back, he spent 100 days writing 100 headlines every single day. You don't have to do anything like that, but I'm helping you understand that this is something that's gonna take some time. This is, while it's the shortest piece of copy perhaps on the page, it's probably gonna take you the longest. After I have a few that I like best, I pull them into copy and then I get my supporting actors and actresses ready. If this is for a client, we usually give them multiple options of combos that they can come up with. If it's for me in my own business, I'm gonna have a few different combos and I'll split test those in a tool like FG Funnels where I can send traffic to a divided up amount so I can see what headline people do like best. I have two final pro tips here. Number one, be open to moving your headlines around on your website. Remember earlier in the video, I showed you this Otherland about page copy. Do you see how that headline could possibly be used on a different page of their website? It could work there, but sometimes, at least when I write copy, I'm looking at our client's copy, there's a headline that I see somewhere else on the website and I'm like, that's the one. That is the headline for the homepage. We need to steal that and put it over there and figure out whatever should fill that in. And finally, like I said earlier, but don't worry about SEO too much. We want to take that into account, but Google search engines are smarter and smarter. I've done a whole deep dive 2-part video series on SEO writing, and by and large, the systems are advanced enough now that we want to get the reader the best information possible. So if you focus more on service when you're writing that copy for the page, and then yes, you add in tools like making sure that your H1 copy is highlighted and coded correctly, you'll be good. But don't worry about keyword stuffing your headline, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Headlines are by far one of the most important parts of your copywriting. But once you've leaned into some of these strategies that I've shared today, I promise it's going to be a much easier writing process. Don't forget to look down below and grab your freebie of those 13 headline templates, and be sure that you sign up for our new challenge coming out soon. I'm so excited. Here's to working from a place of more rest, less hustle, and I'll see you in the next video.